Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. I know in the past that I've talked about the importance of taking a walk, but lately this has been such a pivotal piece of my everything, including my writing and creativity and my creative self-care, that I really wanted to take a moment this week to remind everybody that if you're not already doing this, you need to take your ideas for a walk. So I don't know if everybody has this moment in their creation of story where you've got your idea, you've maybe have a sense of where you want your story to go, or you have an idea of like maybe a theme you want to approach. You got all the pieces, but something's just not sticking. And for me, one of the things that happens is I'll often just like burst from my computer and just like shout, I need to take a shower, which is like completely ridiculous. But I just need to take a shower to sort of like get the idea. I don't know what it is. It's something about just giving my brain that space to think without distraction. And I don't know, maybe mom life has demanded that the only time that I can be sure that no one's going to interrupt me is in the shower. But what's happening now is at the beginning of the year, I don't even know why, but I felt compelled to start taking daily walks. I think it has something to do with the fact that, you know, at least in my home, we were totally on lockdown for the whole last year with all three Riveras under the same roof, 24/7 in each other's faces. And now that, the guys are back at school, my husband a teacher, my son a student, and I'm alone again, I almost completely forgot how to function. Like, what do I do with myself when there's not people here? And that walk, which is something that I had started doing before the pandemic, became like my morning commute. That I would wake up every day, help a family get on the road. Everybody, bye-bye, love everybody, have a great time. Get in the house, grab my bag, and go for a walk. And that's my commute. Because I turn around, I come back, I come home, and I get to work. And it is amazing. It's something that I was doing, like I said, before the pandemic, and was really turning into a wonderful rhythm for me. And what I was doing on those walks at the time was I was connecting with community. I was talking to my girls on Voxer. I was talking to happy campers on Marco Polo. Sometimes I would jump in on do an Instagram live for a second or two. Nothing really too intense, but I would just connect with everybody, or I would be listening to a podcast or an audiobook and just walk. A lot of times I would walk to we have a Trader Joe's that's very close to my house. I'd say less than a mile, I think. So it'd be great. I go into Trader Joe's and they had the coffee machine set up in the back. I had my cup of coffee, walk around a bit, maybe get myself a little snack for later. And it would just be as if back in the day when I was working, getting in the car and all of the little mindless things that you do on the ride to work, and then you show up and you're ready to go. And, when you're in the car, you have the radio playing. You've got, all the traffic stuff, whatever's going on. So it really fit with that. Maybe you make some phone calls, whatever. The difference now is when I finally stepped back into this and said, I got to get back to my morning commute and my walk. First of all, it was midwinter. Snow was happening. I'm like, am I really going to do this? And I'm like, yeah, if I had to go to work, I'd have to go to work. I'm going. So I get up and I go. And the difference now is twofold. Number one, I don't engage with anything. I'm not listening to anything. which is, I mean, this is really terrible advice for a podcaster to tell her listeners. Go out for a walk and make sure you don't listen. But I'm not listening to anything. I'm not talking with anyone on my messenger, like no messages going in and out, not making any phone calls. I am just on a walk by myself with my ideas. And it's twofold, like I said. That's number one. Number two is I'm not always coming right back. I've noticed I've become a little bit of a wanderer. And this is fine because I'm going out so early. It's not really impeding the work time. I am getting home still with plenty of time to get things done. So why is this so important? Well, number one, and I do have to credit, if you did not listen to episode, I believe it was episode 147 that I did with Claire Oldham West, who is, like my hypnotherapist. I guess I can say she's my hypnotherapist. She took me through an emotional release program and really cleared a lot of stuff for me. So I'm feeling like my walks are becoming a little bit more of meditation in a sense, that my brain is not filled with the worries, the stresses, the to-dos, all of that. I am now walking around with just, what do I want to do next? What is this story idea that's bubbling up in my brain? What am I noticing as I'm going on this walk? And what does that do for me in terms of my creativity or my story? Is there something I can use here? And many days I'm going on the same paths, but I've started going, like I said, I'm starting to become a wanderer. So I'm going into different locations also. So I'm discovering new spaces and places and things that can inspire story. And I just want to know if you can find a place like this for yourself. Is there some time of day that you can devote to this pensive walk? It's not even, I say pensive, but that makes it heavier than it is. I'm not going out there with the intention to think. I'm not going out there with the intention to say, this is my meditative time. When I think of creative self-care, I think of it as twofold. And I draw a lot of inspiration from Julia Cameron's Artist's Way. The two things that Julia Cameron sort of demands of us when we take on the 12-week course of the Artist's Way is that we do morning pages every single day, and we have an artist date every single week. Morning pages, if you're unfamiliar, I think episode 2 of Stop Writing Alone is about morning pages. And there's many, many other episodes where it's mentioned or comes up. But morning pages, quite simply, is, I always try to think of it as a brain dump. Right at the beginning of the morning, you have a notebook. It's got to be handwritten, according to Julia. You do 3 pages of just free writing, whatever the heck is in your mind, you let it out. And that is it. You don't reread it. An artist date is 1 hour a week doing something that sort of feeds your soul, some sort of play, something that you love, but you do it by yourself. You do it alone. Because it is just for you. You're taking your inner child on a date, according to Julia, right? So these two aspects of creative self-care, to me, are sort of hallmarks of categories of self-care that we need to really focus on when we are creatives. And one is having an outlet, and that's the morning pages is a really great form of an outlet, a place to deal with the stuff that's within or without or what have you, all of the stuff we carry. And the artist date is a hallmark of play. And to me, these walks that I have, these quiet walks are a combination of both. There's somehow, I found this wonderful thing for me that is hitting both things at once, because it's absolutely, for me, to be out in nature, to be walking by myself, just wandering. Like I said, it's the wandering aspect that really taps into my play. I love walking around and seeing all the different animal tracks or the different animals. I've been running into woodpeckers like crazy, and that just like brings me such joy that there's woodpeckers. I scared a skunk the other day. Fantastic. He ran away. That's the good news. All of those little interactions with nature that's play for me every single day of the week. Going to new trails and finding new spaces to walk, play for me. The outlet for me is that quiet, pensive space where I don't need to think about anything else. Nothing else. And that is something that I think I used to give myself when I commuted back and forth to work. Like, I just had to get to work. And so I just sort of shut my brain off and got there. But in the meantime, things were working out. And maybe I put on the radio and I played the music and sang through some songs that really helped me process whatever stress or maybe even a joy that I was feeling. Like those things are the outlets that I think are really important. So perhaps I shouldn't be so prescriptive when I say take your idea for a walk and say do it in silence. Maybe music is the thing that you need. But what I want you to think about is that I want you to think about this dual purpose of play and outlet. And can you find something like that for yourself to do on as regular a basis as possible? I mean, normally when I take on like things that I say, oh, I'm going to do this every single day, I'm very slick about it. I'm really, really slick about saying, oh, I'm doing something for myself. But then I shut that thing down on the weekends because my family's around, and I say, well, I'll be here for them, and I'll go back to me on Monday. But I have not done that with the walks. I have been making sure that I have been doing my walks every single day of the week, waking up while, they're still asleep and saying, I got to go. I got to do this. And everybody's totally cool with it. And it's making me a more full version of myself, right? And that's going to make me a more powerful, creative writer, presence in this world, to have a voice of something to say, to write, to really have a sense of what it is, what's the story that I need to tell in this moment right now. And I think, this is something that we all need to give ourselves. So I'm getting a sense that given the chance, given 2 minutes to stop and talk, I'm going to continue to talk about all of the different aspects of self-care that I've been examining through writing the Stop Writing Alone book and thinking about all the things that we've been doing in community. So here's another one. Like I said, that episode with Claire, I was talking a lot about the emotional self-care and one tool that I use for it. This writing, this, walking with my ideas has been fantastic because it's catering to my creative self-care, and clearly it's catering to my physical self-care as well. I'm feeling much more fit. I think part of, I said I felt like driven to do these walks. I think part of that was also having COVID, feeling miserable while I had COVID and saying, nah, I'm not going to do that anymore. I need to get this act together here. So, when you do good, you feel good. And when you feel good, you can do more good. And that's not just, in our work, but it's in, our service to others. This is a gift I want to give to you. And if you're listening to this and you're feeling down because you're saying, oh, I don't think I can do a walk, or I don't have the time for that, and I know Nicole's right, but I can't figure out how to make it work. I have been there. I have been there over and over again. And I will just harken back to something that Claire said in the episode where we talked, and she said the issue is usually not the issue. And that's, it's always been the case for me personally. So when I think I don't have the time for something, and I have all of the reasons why I don't, finding some way to force myself to do it anyway, even just once, is that little trick that I need to show myself, okay, I made it possible. And literally at the beginning of this year, when I first started doing these walks, it was every single day was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it work, but let me just try today. And then the next day I said, well, that worked yesterday. Let me try again today. And then the first time it rained, am I still going to walk in the rain? Yeah, I got an umbrella. Let's do this. And it became just, now I need it, So, yeah, if you're struggling and you're thinking, I want to do this, but I don't know how, and I don't know where it's going to fit, reach out to me. Reach out to me either, stopwritingalone@gmail.com or on, DM on Instagram or on Facebook. And let's just have like a quick chat about what it is that is, why you can't. Because sometimes, and this goes back to everything that I stand for with Stop Writing Alone, sometimes when you're talking to yourself, you can be really, really good at explaining away why you can't. But the second you have to have that conversation with someone else, it's like it just fades into the ether. Sometimes it's just talking to somebody else and hearing it out loud and saying, you know what? Because I'm talking to you, I'm going to give it a shot tomorrow. And let's see what happens. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk to you about this week is taking your ideas for a walk, the power of it, this idea of the outlet and the play in our creative self-care, and really the importance of our physical self-care. It cannot be stated enough, but I've said earlier this year, the 3 pillars of self-care, I believe, are that physical, emotional, and creative self-care for any creative. And we got to just make sure that we're doing that work while we're also showing up to the page and showing up to all of our courses to learn about story structure and revision and what other workshop can I go to. I want to learn more. What books on craft am I reading? I want to do more. All of these things are fantastic, but you are the writer. You are the artist. It begins and ends with you. If you are not setting that solid structure of you, none of that matters. None of that other stuff matters. So you need to take care of yourself physically, emotionally, creatively. So take your ideas for a walk and see how you feel. And then come back and tell me about it. All right, that's it for me this week. Next week, I'm going to be coming to you with some more information about how we're going to be rolling things out in the spring for Stop Writing Alone, for the Happy Campers Club this spring, for the 52 Weeks group in the spring. That's, clearly going to go on for 52 weeks. But we are at the end stages of all these building blocks. Also, anyone that had shown interest in the Stop Reading Alone group that I said we're going to test out all of these spaces with, we're going to read Brene Brown's Atlas of the Heart together. That is going to get started very soon. That's actually my project for the rest of today. And so that's a big emotional self-care book, Atlas of the Heart, because it's all about finding the language to speak about all of our feelings and the importance of finding that language and being able to communicate it. So I'm just getting started in the book now, but I can't wait to read it with community. So if you didn't get on that and you think you might be interested in that, just reach out to me, let me know, and I will get you on the email list for the Stop Reading Alone that will be coming very soon. But I want you to have a wonderful week. I want you to get outside if you can. I want you to walk around with your ideas. I want you to give yourself the time you deserve and see all the benefits in all of your writing to come. Have a wonderful week. Happy writing, and I will talk to you next Thursday.